The living room felt suffocating with everyone crammed into it. Mom had arranged the furniture in a semicircle, like some twisted therapy session, with me positioned in the center facing a jury of my own relatives. The coffee table groaned under printed documents, bank statements, and a PowerPoint presentation titled Maya's Reality Check, a Family Intervention. "Thank you all for coming," Mom began, standing behind the couch like a prosecutor. Her reading glasses reflected the afternoon light as she surveyed her gathered evidence. "We're here because we love Maya, and love means having difficult conversations." My older sister Victoria sat rigidly in her designer suit, having driven 3 hours from her Chicago law firm for this moment. Next to her, my brother-in-law David nodded along, his investment banker instincts probably calculating the cost of this family drama. Dad occupied his recliner, looking resigned. My younger brother Jake sprawled in his medical scrubs, fresh from his hospital shift. "Maya," Victoria began, consulting prepared notes, "we've watched you struggle for 6 years. We can't stay silent anymore." I sat cross-legged on the carpet in jeans and a Northwestern sweatshirt, feeling like a defendant in family court. "Struggle how?" "Living in that studio apartment," David interjected with MBA confidence. "Working from home on mysterious computer projects nobody understands. No steady income, no benefits, no retirement planning." Jake leaned forward with his medical precision. "You're 29. Most people our age have careers, mortgages, financial stability. What do you actually do all day?" The question I'd been dodging for years. "I work in financial technology," never satisfied them, probably because they associated fintech with crypto scams rather than the algorithmic trading systems that had quietly revolutionized Wall Street. "Vague answers," Mom said, pulling out a thick folder. "That's exactly the problem. Secretive behavior. Living like a college student while your siblings build real lives." She distributed documents like evidence. Maya's social media from the past 2 years. Notice what's missing. No job announcements, no professional achievements, no career progression. Victoria scanned the pages with prosecutorial efficiency. No LinkedIn updates about promotions. No photos from business conferences. "Maya, successful people document their achievements. Your silence suggests there aren't any." I almost laughed. My LinkedIn showed only senior developer at Quantum Edge Solutions, with no indication I owned the company. Professional discretion wasn't just advisable in fintech. It was essential when managing hundreds of millions in algorithmic trading. "Look at this lease," David continued, brandishing another document. $750 a month for a Lincoln Park studio. I pay more for downtown parking. "Because she can't afford better," Dad said sadly. "Sweetheart, there's no shame in needing help." Mom produced the main event, a glossy brochure for career counseling services. Dr. Rebecca Martinez specializes in helping creative types transition to stable corporate careers. "We've spoken with her," Victoria added. "She thinks you'd be perfect for data analysis or IT support. With your computer skills, maybe 40,000 starting salary." The number was so far below my actual income that I bit my lip to prevent laughing. Quantum Edge had generated $340 million last year, and they were suggesting $50,000 jobs. "The important thing is stability," Jake said in his bedside manner. "Real benefits, health insurance, retirement contributions." "I have health insurance." "Marketplace coverage," Mom dismissed. "Not real employer benefits. Your one emergency from financial disaster." If only they knew Quantum Edge's private plan covered everything up to experimental Mayo Clinic treatments, or that I donated more to medical research than Jake would earn in his first decade. "We've looked at apartments too," David continued, producing rental listings. "Nice one-bedrooms in Oak Park, more age-appropriate. Maya. Mom resumed her prosecutor stance. We think you're addicted to this fantasy of being a tech entrepreneur. It's preventing you from accepting reality. The word fantasy stung. Quantum Edge employed 47 people, managed portfolios for major hedge funds, and had revolutionized institutional algorithmic trading. But to them, it was delusion. What do you think I do all day? I asked. Day trade crypto? Jake shrugged. Tell yourself you're running a business. Maybe freelance web design, David added. Small projects, inconsistent income, no real clients. Victoria consulted her notes. Whatever it is isn't working. Studio apartment, 10-year-old Toyota, shopping at Target. These aren't successful entrepreneur choices. They weren't wrong about the externals. I deliberately maintained a modest profile for security and family harmony. I'd seen wealth complicate relationships too many times. We're trying to help, Mom said gently. Sometimes courage means abandoning dreams that aren't working, like Victoria did. I could have chased tenure forever, Victoria preened. Instead, I pivoted to corporate law. Same skills, but practical application that pays bills. Jake nodded. I chose emergency medicine over research. Practical, helpful, stable income. The message was clear. Successful people abandon impractical dreams for realistic careers. My persistence at 29 suggested immaturity or delusion. We've prepared a timeline, David announced, producing another document. 6 months to transition you into sustainable work. Month 1, assessment with Dr. Martinez. Month 2, targeted applications. Month 3, interview coaching and professional wardrobe development. You can't interview in university sweatshirts, Victoria said patiently. Image matters professionally. Mom beamed. We've budgeted for a complete makeover. Business attire, professional styling, media training for confidence. They were planning to spend thousands teaching me to dress for jobs I was overqualified to consult for, let alone accept. What if I'm not interested? I asked. Uncomfortable silence. They'd prepared for resistance, not refusal. Maya, Dad said carefully, what would you be changing from? We're asking you to start a career, not give one up. Based on what evidence? Have you seen my tax returns? My actual income? Asked about my business model. We don't need tax returns, Mom replied. Your lifestyle speaks for itself. Victoria leaned forward, lawyer instincts engaging. If you're genuinely successful, why hide it? Why live beneath your means? Nobody chooses poverty when they're wealthy. Maybe I choose modestly. Psychologically impossible, David said confidently. Success brings lifestyle inflation. Human nature. Your unchanged lifestyle proves unchanged income. They had me surrounded with logic and loving concern. How could I explain that luxury cars attracted unwanted attention? That wealth was a tool, not a lifestyle statement. That I value privacy over status symbols. We're offering professional guidance, financial support, and family belief in your potential, Mom said softly. But you must let go of fantasies for realistic goals. That's when my phone buzzed. The ringtone was distinctive. Classical music I'd programmed specifically for Goldman Sachs calls. Saturday afternoon meant either emergency or extraordinary importance. I should take this. Maya, we're in a family meeting, Victoria protested. This might be important. More important than your future? Mom's voice rose with frustration. I looked around at 5 faces filled with disappointment and concern. They'd spent hours preparing this intervention, genuinely believing they were helping. Let me see what they want, I said, answering. Maya Thompson speaking. Ms. Thompson, Jonathan Pierce from Goldman Sachs Private Wealth Management. The voice was crisp, excited. Hope I'm not catching you at a bad time. It's fine. What can I do for you? Extraordinary news. Forbes is publishing their annual FinTech Innovators list Monday, featuring you as cover story, The Invisible Billionaire. How Maya Thompson built a trading empire from her living room. Dead silence. 5 pairs of eyes stared at me, but I kept my expression neutral. Additionally, Jonathan continued, the article reveals Quantum Edge Solutions' acquisition by Berkshire Hathaway for $2.8 billion, with you retaining 40% and continuing as CEO. Congratulations, Ms. Thompson. You're officially the youngest billionaire in fintech history. My family's faces cycled through confusion, disbelief, and shock. Mom's mouth hung open. Victoria dropped her notes. Miss Thompson, are you there? I'm here. Could you hold on? I put the call on speaker, setting it beside Mom's intervention materials. Jonathan, my family's here. Could you repeat that? Of course. His voice filled the room clearly. Forbes is featuring you Monday, highlighting how Quantum Edge revolutionized algorithmic trading through AI. The Berkshire Hathaway acquisition values your company at $2.8 billion, making you the youngest fintech billionaire. Complete silence except for the hallway grandfather clock. The article explains how you built Quantum Edge from one person in 2018 to managing over $40 billion in institutional investments. Warren Buffett specifically requested the acquisition, believing your algorithms represent value investing's future. Jake stared like I'd grown a second head. David's MBA composure evaporated. Mom gripped her chair arms, knuckles white. Forbes mentions your philanthropic work too. Anonymous donations to medical research and education traced back to your private foundation. Impressive for someone maintaining such a low profile. Thank you, Jonathan. Email me the article preview and final acquisition documents. Already sent to your private account. We'll need to meet next week about portfolio diversification at billionaire liquid asset levels. Billionaire, Mom whispered. We should discuss security protocols too. At this wealth level, personal safety becomes legitimate concern. Goldman Sachs works with discrete security firms specializing in high net worth protection. Send the information. I'll review tomorrow. Excellent. Maya, congratulations again. What you've built with Quantum Edge is remarkable. The financial community has enormous respect for your work. I ended the call and looked around at my family, who stared like I was a complete stranger. So, I said quietly, about that career counseling. Victoria found her voice first, croaking, You're actually a billionaire. As of the Berkshire acquisition, yes. But how? Dad asked, his engineer mind processing the impossible. How didn't we know? Because I didn't want you to know. Financial technology values discretion. When managing other people's money, the last thing you want is public attention or family drama affecting reputation. Mom shook her head slowly. The studio apartment, old car, Target shopping, are choices, not necessities. When you're worth over $1 billion, possessions become tools rather than status symbols. I live modestly because it suits my lifestyle and business needs. Jake leaned forward, medical training analyzing symptoms. Why hide it from family? Because of this. I gestured around. This intervention. These failure assumptions. Career counseling suggestions, and professional makeovers. I picked up Dr. Martinez's brochure. You were so convinced I was failing that you never considered I might be succeeding in ways you didn't recognize. David, recovering professional composure, asked the expected question. What exactly does Quantum Edge do? We develop AI systems for algorithmic trading. Institutional investors, hedge funds, pension funds, sovereign wealth funds use our software for investment decisions. We analyze market data, identify patterns, execute trades faster and more accurately than human traders. That's worth billions, Victoria asked. My algorithms process millions of data points per second, identifying profitable opportunities human analysts miss. Last year, our software generated 47% returns for clients versus the S&P's 11%. Numbers started sinking in. David's MBA brain calculated implications while Jake reconciled his graduate student lifestyle sister with someone who'd revolutionized Wall Street. Warren Buffett bought your company, Mom asked, struggling with the concept. Berkshire acquired controlling stake, but I retain operational control and 40% ownership. Buffett believes AI represents value investing's future, and Quantum Edge currently has the market's most sophisticated system. I showed them the Forbes preview on my phone. The cover photo showed me in Quantum Edge's office, surrounded by high-end computer equipment that glimpsed in my apartment. The invisible billionaire. Victoria read aloud. How Maya Thompson built a trading empire from her living room. This is incredible. That living room is the studio apartment you've been concerned about. Where Quantum Edge started, where I developed core algorithms, built first institutional client relationships. We had no idea, Mom said, voice breaking slightly. We thought we were helping. You were trying to help, but solving a problem that didn't exist. Dad leaned back, engineer mind, working through implications. If you're worth this much, why live this way? Because wealth is a tool, not identity. The apartment functions perfectly for my needs. The Toyota is reliable and inconspicuous. Target means I don't waste time on consumption decisions. Jake read the article on his phone. This says you've donated over $50 million to medical research and education, anonymously. Wealth creates responsibility. Resources exceeding personal needs should solve problems. $50 million, Mom whispered. More than most people earn in lifetimes. Exactly why I donated it. They processed not just my wealth, but my approach to it. The modest lifestyle that concerned them suddenly looked like philosophical consistency rather than financial limitation. Why haven't we heard of Quantum Edge? David asked carefully. Why isn't it famous like Google? Our clients prefer discretion. Managing $40 billion in institutional investments, publicity is the last thing you want. Fintech success measures returns and client satisfaction, not media coverage. I showed another email from CalPERS Pension Fund CEO. California Public Employees Retirement manages over $400 billion. They're thanking us for their best returns in a decade. Victoria read over my shoulder. They want to increase Quantum Edge investment by another $2 billion. Institutional clients don't care about flashy offices or celebrity CEOs. They care about results. My algorithms consistently outperform markets, so demand keeps growing. The career counseling brochure looked absurd now, promising $40,000 positions while I managed billion-dollar acquisitions. What happens now? Mom asked quietly. Back to work. The Berkshire acquisition creates new opportunities and responsibilities. We're expanding internationally, developing new algorithms, probably hiring 50 more employees this year. Could we see your office? Jake asked hesitantly. I studied his face for genuine interest rather than wealth curiosity. Why? Because I don't understand what you do at all. I'm sorry we made assumptions. A start. Not complete family dynamic transformation, but acknowledgement that their success definition had been too narrow to recognize what I'd built. River North office. 47 employees, custom trading floor, some of the most sophisticated systems outside the Federal Reserve. I could arrange a tour if you're genuinely interested. We're interested, Dad said firmly. Maya, we owe you apologies. Multiple apologies. You don't owe me anything. You tried helping based on incomplete information. My phone buzzed. Head of operations calling. The Forbes article was creating media frenzy, with interview requests from CNBC, Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal. Monday's official Berkshire announcement meant chaos ahead. I should head home. Monday will be incredibly busy preparing for what's essentially Quantum Edge's public launch. Of course, Mom said quickly. But Maya, could we do better as a family? Learn to see you clearly. I looked at 5 people who'd raised me, supported me, and completely misunderstood me for 6 years. Not bad people, just people who'd made assumptions and built interventions around them. I'd like that, but it means accepting success doesn't always look expected. Being curious instead of judgmental, asking questions instead of planning to fix non-existent problems. We understand, Victoria said, though I suspected understanding would take time translating to different behavior. Goodbye hugs felt different now, charged with new respect and honest relationship promises. Driving home in my 10-year-old Toyota, my phone buzzed continuously with calls from investment banks, VCs, financial journalists. The Forbes cover would transform me from invisible industry insider to public figure, with all accompanying complications. But for now, I was just Maya Thompson, returning to my Lincoln Park studio apartment where Quantum Edge had been born 6 years ago in a converted closet serving as my first server room. Tomorrow, the financial world would call me an overnight success, sudden Wall Street disruption. But I knew the truth. 6 years of deliberate choices, methodical planning, discipline to build something meaningful, while everyone who loved me most remained convinced I was wasting potential. The Berkshire acquisition was just beginning. Quantum Edge would enter new growth and influence phases, with resources for even more sophisticated trading algorithms. But at its core, the company remained exactly what it always was, where mathematical precision met financial innovation, success measured in results rather than recognition. Pulling into my parking space behind the studio building, I thought about next Saturday's family dinner. Probably different this time, with new dynamics and deeper conversations. Maybe they'd finally understand the daughter they tried fixing had never been broken.